been opposed as happening in psychiatric hospitals, but of course in a jail you can be locked up in a tiny cell and there all day for several years with no contact, let alone any help. As people might remember, I was working here. I was the Director of Drug and Alcohol Services here until I was actually sacked in 1990. It happened then. And I was criticised by the administration then for making what they called inaccurate claims. And actually looking at my claims later, they were indeed inaccurate, but they were understated because there were over 500 beds here back then in 1990, and that's just been shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And likewise the mental health services, there were 100 beds when I was the Director of Drug and Alcohol Services, and that shrank and shrank, and it shrank even more when the Basement 82 closed several years ago. That was 25 beds at Prince Alfred and 20 beds here. Now what does 20 plus 25 add up to? No, you see, you can't be politicians because what it's added up to is 15. 20 plus 25 makes 15. Now the 15 beds, actually those drug and alcohol wards moved to Concord. There are two wards, short term and a longer term, and they were both 15 beds but moved to Concord on Friday, and on the way to Concord they shrank from 15 to 12. So, you know, you think we would have 45 expressing a lot of concern about the problems of alcohol and other drugs in our community, and of course if they're admitted to a detox unit to get off the drugs that they're on, the chances of getting in now, that there's only 12 beds and they're just at Concord. Now, you know what I'm also been on about, I was originally a physician, and so it's a routine thing for any other aspect of medicine to monitor the death rate and to be very alarmed and do something if the death. Also physical neglect in people with mental illness in New South Wales has increased by at least, well, it's over 300%. So they can't get treatment, they are more likely to end up dead. Now, what I'm brought up in the aftermath of the Second World War, we're very aware and conscious of what the Nazis did with their evil things, by Michael Burley, called Death and Deliverance, which is about euthanasia in Germany, 1900 to 1945. And that is when they said that people with mental illness were lives unworthy of life. And I think everybody needs to be aware, although people, as has already been said, people in this area are very, very beautifully concerned about people with mental illness and needing adequate treatment. About acute medical services in general in hospitals and things going wrong. And from that book about the a sermon by Bishop von Galen in 1941 on the Nazi euthanasia program, which was an extremely brave thing for him to do, because, you know, you'd expect in those days that you could be killed for saying anything like that. But anyway, one of the people with mental illness have just gone down and down and down and down. So unless you're rich and privately insured, you know, it's just a disaster. And as I said, the big issue is that with adequate treatment, people get so beautifully well. It's just dreadful to allow these people to end up on the streets, homeless, in jail or dead.
Thank you very much, Jean. We appreciate Mika. Is Mr. Peter Debnam, the former leader of the state opposition. Mr. Debnam, as well, Sylvia Hale has supported us for many, many years. But Mr. Debnam first spoke at a Callan Park rally in January 1999. So his support has been tried and true. And so I'd like to introduce you to him now.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity, and yes, we were just been standing opposite this poster here that says mental health, not jail or homelessness. I mean, with people power and people pressure, will you actually get the message through to Parliament and to this